Okay, thank you very much for an interesting speech or lecture. I'm Mads Broberg from the Danish newspaper Jyllandsposten, and I'm going to ask you some questions about some current developments in Denmark regarding your participation in a conference against radicalization on the 11th of September at the Copenhagen Business School. As you might know, the Danish Minister of Social Affairs, Ms. Karen Hækkerup, a Social Democrat, has said that she will not participate in this conference if you are going to give a speech, not because of this fatwa, but because of your work in Pakistan in the 1980s and your view on blasphemy laws. As I understand it, you support these laws. You've said that there's nothing wrong with the laws, but you don't like the way the administration because of corrupt police officers. So I would like you to explain your views on these blasphemy laws. And also I would ask you whether this statement from the minister will make you reconsider participating in this conference.
It's a good question. As far as the first part of your question is concerned regarding the participation of the minister or not, it is not concerned to me. So I want to give any comment or any response on that. This is the decision of the minister. Ministry, I am not aware of these things. And this is not my subject. I am concerned with my own participation. Who else is coming or not coming, I am not aware of this fact. I am a guest here. Secondly, I have gone through some newspapers today and yesterday, which you have asked the question about the blasphemy. And I have seen two, three newspapers. I saw yesterday, I saw today, and the English versions of Danish newspapers. And some of them purely Danish, which I couldn't find the English version, so they were translated to me verbatim, word by word, but the subject was same. In all of them, I think somebody has prompted. This origin is one place. And the same letter or discussions has been carried on in 2-3 newspapers in 2 days. I know this. So I want to make it very clear. It was written on that. I would elaborate your question. It was written that I was the one who made this support to help in making this blasphemy law. And it is written I was advisor of General Zia-ul-Haq at that time who made this Sharia law. And so on and so forth. So I want to make it clear, I have never been advisor of General Zia-ul-Haq, the founder of these laws. Never in my life. I was against him, considering as a dictator. Rather, I led a very big movement against dictatorial move. And there was about 200,000 to 300,000 people when I was leading the movement to bring an end to dictatorial rule and to come to democracy. I was against him. Number two, since I was neither his advisor nor member of his cabinet, never, and nor member of his parliament. So what was my task in formulating of these laws? Laws are always formulated in the parliaments. I had never been member of the parliament throughout my life. Never. I have never been the member of any cabinet throughout my life in Pakistan. I was member of parliament only, elected member of parliament in 2002 in the regime of General Pervez Musharraf. This was my first participation in parliament in my life, and I was never connected with the governments before that. And the laws were made in 80s sometime when Zia-ul-Haq, and he never ever consulted me on this subject. I'm saying it categorically. I'm responsible for what I say. He never consulted me. He never spoke to me on this subject of this law. He consulted me only once when he was formulating a law regarding the blood money. If a woman is murdered or a man is murdered, then what would be the monetary punishment? In Islamic law, there are two kinds, either retaliatory punishment or monetary compensation. He didn't consult me at that time too. I was here in Norway and Denmark on my tour. Now, I was in Norway at that time when he was going to pass the law, General Zia-ul-Haq, that if a man is murdered, then compensatory punishment which would be given to the heirs of the murdered would be, for example, I'm telling, say 1 million rupees. You have 100,000 rupees. Or you can say, if it is one, you can say 100,000 crown. Just I'm giving an example. But if this would be a monetary punishment, and it would be given as a financial compensation to the heirs if a man is murdered. And if a woman is murdered, then compensation would be half. This General Zia-ul-Haq, on recommendations of his people, those who were in his government, they recommended this law and he was going to sign this law that day. I was on my European tour, and from Norway, I reached 1 day earlier in Pakistan. And I never knew what was happening there. I was addressing a gathering, and there were some news and media people there, and they asked me a question as you stood up now. Dr. Qadri, what is your opinion on this blood money matter? Because the law is being made that the women's right in this financial compensation is half than a man. What is your opinion? I said this is a wrong law. I condemn it, and I am in favor of equality of man and women. I don't believe in discrimination of sex. So I gave a brief answer in a press gathering. This was published as a front page, what do you say, the big headline. This was published as a headline. That was the day when the draft of the law was in front of President of Pakistan, General Zia-ul-Haq, and his cabinet was sitting there, and he was going to sign this discriminatory law. At the same time, his military secretaries, they put the file of newspapers where my statements was published as a headline that Professor Qadri has said this, contrary, opposite to the views of other ulama, the scholars. He says, no, it should be equal. He didn't sign it. He had a regard. It was my young life, although being a professor of law, but he had a regard of my literary and my academic position. He himself called me. He rang me. And my secretary told the President of Pakistan wants to speak to you. I received the call. He said, Dr. Qadri, is this really your statement? That women's right is equal to man? I said, yes, positively this is my statement. So you are of this view? I said, yes. He said, no other scholar of the whole country has supported your view. Everybody has said me half. I say, I don't bother any other scholar supports this view or not. My view is supported by Quran. Then he said, I want to hold an official debate on this subject. I said, I'm ready. Give me 3 days for preparation. So I took my books. There was a preparation. Then Islamabad in presidency. I gave 8 hours discourse and arguments in favor of the equality of both sex. In front of all judges, ulama, cabinet members, governors and chief ministers. 8 hours. And when I finished my arguments, he asked all those ulama who had given their view in favor of half, but do you have any question? None of them stood up. They said, we are of the same view, but we can't question the authoritative talk of Dr. Qadri. We will discuss it later. So General Ziaul-Haq sent that law back, and he got a new draft, and that was based on equality of the sex, male and female. My involvement was just once on in this matter. So whatever is being published, that is totally wrong. I think those people should correct their source. And number two, instead of getting some wrong information just from a very, very small, maybe somebody has given them wrong misunderstanding, they should try to contact the minorities living in Pakistan directly. In Pakistan, the biggest minority is Christian community, then Hindus and Sikhs. In Pakistan, there are 3 minorities. I asked them, in general, some people, a delegate should go and ask the Christian brothers and sisters, our Christian community and Hindus and Sikhs, and ask single question. Ask them, just name, only give us one name in the whole country, among the Muslim leaders or scholars or authorities, just one name, whom you trust the most and who has been always in your favor and who has been fighting for your right and who protects your right. Give us one name. I swear by God, they will give just one name, and that would be Dr. Tahir-ul-Qadri. These are wrong information which have been spread. And the final thing, blasphemy law, I have asked the government many times, there are flaws. I differ with this aspect. It needs reforms and amendments. But unfortunately, nobody listens to anyone. I would suggest the governments, Western governments, who provide the aids, who provide grants to all countries, I'm not talking of Pakistan now, just I'm talking in generality, to those countries where there is discrimination for minorities, where there is discrimination of sex, discrimination of minorities, or where the laws are misused to intimidate or to create an harassment for minorities, they should stop their aids and grant. And final thing I would say, the present case which you are referring to, Simsha, or what is the name of that girl, I have gone through the reports of CNN and other British and American newspapers, because I was not in Pakistan. I have not gone there for the last 3-4 years. I have not been there. I have just gone through reports, through newspapers, and as far as I have read, this girl is about 11 years old. She is insane, suffering from Down syndrome. And again, the evidence is not clear. And a mullah is involved, a person is involved, and somebody is saying that maybe he has mixed some Quranic text in that. There is a lot of these kind of things. I assure you, you will see what happens. I am aware of the courts of Pakistan. I assure you that this girl, by the help of Almighty God, she would be released. There would be no charge proved against her. And in spite of all these facts, and if any court punishes her, and that is an unjust punishment according to all these things, I can go there and I would be her lawyer, and I can fight for a right to save her from that. And another interesting thing, since I read these news wrongly spread and published in newspaper, I brought my speech on the blasphemy law. This is my speech, 14 hours talk. Now you should ask the newspapers, sit down and listen my 14 hours talk, so that they should know. They should know what is my stance on blasphemy law. Instead of creating misunderstandings, this is just, You know, the people, there are some people, they don't want the voice against extremism. This voice which I am raising in the whole world against radicalism and against terrorism. There are some people, they don't want this voice to be heard and this message to be propagated to the youth. They don't want me to try to change their mindset. I'm trying to get Islam back from Bin Ladenians. I want to get Islam back from Bin Ladenians. My message is follow Al-Quran and don't follow Al-Qaeda. And follow Muhammad and don't follow Bin Laden. So they don't want that this very strong and powerful message should go to the youth. That's why they create misunderstandings. Oh, this is a radical, I have read. This is a radical person coming here. I say, yes, I am a radical in countering extremism. I am radical in countering radicalism. I am radical in countering terrorism. These are my views. Because I said that I will fight against terrorism. But the fights of the government, there are military fights. My fight is philosophical fight, theological fight, academic fight, jurisprudential fight, fight on the basis of knowledge. My fight is fight of ideas. And I will continue this fight till my last moment of life. That's why I am a radical against terrorism. I have given my full view on the law of blasphemy, and it is available on YouTube. 14 hours talk, and this is more than enough. I can give you an evidence, that's it.
Thank you very much for a very extensive answer and a clarification on that matter. We have a participant here in the second row.